What would happen if a homeless woman found a millionaire's wallet and chose to return it instead of keeping it for herself? Sarah, a woman struggling to survive on the streets, discovered an expensive leather wallet filled with cash and the identity of Henry Mitchell, one of the country's most influential businessmen. When she bravely decided to confront him and return the wallet, she faced humiliation from his security guard, who dismissed her as unworthy. But what happens next will challenge everything Henry thought he knew about trust and redemption. Stay tuned to witness how a single act of honesty can change lives forever. Sarah was at her breaking point. She hadn't had a proper meal in 3 days, and the combination of hunger and exhaustion felt like an ever-present weight on her shoulders. Her feet ached inside her worn-out sneakers, and her stomach growled so loudly that she had to hug herself to muffle the sound. She wandered aimlessly through the city, scanning every corner for a help-wanted sign or anyone willing to give her a chance. Anything would do, whether it was a cleaning job or a delivery gig. She just needed an opportunity to start anew. As she bent down to tie her shoelace, her eyes caught sight of something unusual on the ground, a dark leather wallet, sleek and expensive-looking, lying next to a streetlight. Carefully, she picked it up, and her heart raced as she opened it. It was stuffed with cash, the bills neatly folded, so many that she didn't even try to count them. Just one of those bills would be enough to buy her a decent meal. With all that money, she could escape the streets, rent a small room, buy new clothes, and start over. But alongside the cash, there were also documents and a business card. The name on the card made her eyes widen. Henry Mitchell. She recognized that name. He was one of the most influential businessmen in the country, the owner of $1 billion company. Right there in her hands were his personal details, including his home address. Taking a deep breath, Sarah fought with her own thoughts. The temptation was overwhelming, yet something inside her spoke even louder, her grandmother's voice echoing the words she had heard all her life. Do what's right, even when no one is watching. Honesty is worth more than anything money can buy. She closed the wallet firmly. It wasn't hers. As painful as it was, she knew exactly what she needed to do. So, she started walking toward the address. After hours of walking, she finally arrived. The mansion was like another world, tall and imposing, surrounded by sleek walls and a massive metal gate. Just looking at it made Sarah's throat dry. She had no idea where to start. Hesitantly, she approached and pressed the intercom button. Nothing happened. She clapped her hands, and seconds later a man appeared. He was dressed in a shirt and black pants, his expression stern as he looked her up and down with obvious disdain. What do you want? He asked impatiently. I need to speak with Mr. Henry Mitchell. It's important, she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. The man scoffed, crossing his arms. Mr. Mitchell isn't seeing anyone, especially people like you. Sarah stood her ground, even as her face burned with shame. Please, it's very important. I won't take much of his time. He let out a dry laugh. Listen, we don't give out handouts here. Go try somewhere else. This neighborhood isn't for you. Clutching the wallet against her chest, Sarah felt her heart pound. I'm not here to ask for anything. I just need to talk to him. It's serious. If he finds out I was here and you didn't let me speak with him, you'll regret it. The guard frowned, still skeptical. You think you can fool someone here with this little act? Taking a deep breath, Sarah was on the verge of exploding. This man had no idea what she was carrying, how her world was falling apart, and yet she had still chosen to do the right thing. Please, she insisted, her voice steady. Just ask him to come here. If he says he doesn't want to see me, I'll leave. I promise. The guard hesitated after a few more seconds of staring at her, then grumbled, Wait here. As he disappeared behind the mansion walls, Sarah let out a shaky breath. She stood there alone, staring at the grand entrance that looked more like a palace. The gate remained shut, and the wallet felt heavy in her hands. Her eyes welled up, but she blinked hard. She wouldn't cry. Not here. Not now. Inside, Henry Mitchell was in his office, reviewing reports when 3 sharp knocks sounded on his door. What is it? He asked without looking up from his screen. Sir, there's a woman at the gate. She says she needs to talk to you, but she's strange. Looks like she lives on the street. Henry frowned. And what does she want? She didn't say, just kept insisting she wouldn't leave. Henry sighed, resting his elbows on the desk. Did she give a name? She didn't say, just asked to speak with you, said it was important. The businessman thought for a moment. Normally, he would have refused without hesitation, but there was something in the guard's tone, a different kind of insistence. A small spark of curiosity nudged him from within. All right, he replied. I'm coming. Sarah was still standing motionless when the gate finally started to open. She saw the man walking toward her, tall and imposing, wearing an elegant suit with a serious expression. It was him, Henry Mitchell. He stopped in front of the gate, his brow slightly furrowed as he observed the woman in front of him, noting her tired look and worn-out clothes. He had expected someone making a scene, maybe demanding something, but what he saw was different. Without another word, Sarah held out the wallet to him. I found this on 13th Street this morning. Her voice was low but firm. Henry took the wallet and quickly opened it. His eyes scanned each compartment. Everything was there. The money, the cards, the important documents, even notes with confidential contacts. He let out a slow breath, feeling a strange sense of relief. You didn't take anything? He asked, still surprised. It wasn't mine, Sarah replied, her voice steady. Henry looked up, studying her. She was unkempt, her hair carelessly tied back, her face pale from the cold, but there was something in her eyes, something strong, honest. What's your name? Sarah. And why did you come all the way here? She swallowed hard, not used to conversations like this, especially with someone like him. Because it was the right thing to do. I wouldn't be able to sleep knowing I kept something that wasn't mine. Henry nodded slowly. He was used to people who hid their real intentions, who approached him for personal gain. But this woman, with nothing in her hands and everything to lose, had done the right thing without expecting anything in return. He was silent for a moment, then looked at the guard. Open the gate. The man seemed surprised. She's coming in? Sarah's eyes widened. There's no need. I just wanted to return. Now you're going to have some coffee or tea or whatever you prefer, Henry interrupted. You did me a huge favor. Come in. Sarah hesitated but stepped forward, feeling out of place, like a misplaced piece in a puzzle. Make yourself comfortable, he said, gesturing to a seat. I'll be right back. A few minutes later, Henry returned with a cup of tea and a plate of cheese rolls. I hope you like them, he said, handing her the plate. She took it, murmuring a barely audible thank you. It was the first warm drink she had in days. Do you live nearby? Henry asked, sitting in the armchair next to her. And yours? Ethan, he replied, sitting on the rug and pulling the toy car across the polished floor. You know what's even better than a car? Sarah asked, in a playful whisper. The boy looked up, curious. What? A ramp. She grabbed a cushion from the couch and placed it at a slight angle on the floor. How about we test a racetrack? Ethan placed the car at the top of the improvised ramp and gave it a push. The toy slid down until it bumped into one of the table legs. He looked at Sarah and laughed, a soft, genuine laugh with a spark in his eyes that had seemed lost for a long time. Sarah joined in, trying to hold back the emotion rising in her chest. That car is a rocket, she said, excited. Standing in the hallway, Henry watched everything, his phone still in hand, but he stood frozen as if he had just seen a ghost. His son was laughing. His heart tightened. It had been 3 years since Ethan smiled like that. Ever since Olivia, his wife, passed away, the boy had completely shut down. No nanny had been able to get close to him. No psychologist, teacher, or therapist had succeeded. Ethan barely spoke, never interacted, and wouldn't even respond when someone talked to him. But now, in front of this woman he had just met, he was laughing. Unbelievable, Henry whispered to himself. The scene before him left him motionless. Sarah was laughing with Ethan, building another ramp with more cushions while the boys stacked objects to create obstacles. Ethan lifted the car, pointing at the cushion. Do you think it will jump? Only one way to find out, pilot, Sarah encouraged. The boy pushed the car with force. It flew into the air, flipped, and landed on its side with a soft thud. Ethan's eyes widened, and he let out another spontaneous giggle. Henry felt his eyes sting. He walked back to the living room, trying to compose himself. Sarah noticed his presence and immediately stood up. "I'm sorry," she started, but he raised a hand. "Don't apologize. That was the most amazing thing I've seen in a long time." Ethan looked at his father and, to his surprise, spoke without being prompted. "Dad, the car jump." Henry needed a second to take it in. "Did it really?" he asked, his voice slightly choked. Ethan nodded with a proud smile, and Sarah, unsure, glanced at Henry. Is he okay?" "He's better than he's been in 3 years." Henry looked away, taking a deep breath before turning back to Sarah with intensity. "I was going to think of something I could do for you. Now I think I've found it." Sarah frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "My son hasn't been the same since he lost his mother. He shut the world out. No professional could break through his walls, but you." He paused, as if thinking out loud. "You just got here," and he spoke, laughed, played. Sarah looked at Ethan, who was now lying on the rug, spinning the car in the air. He just needed someone who wouldn't push him, someone who would just be there. Henry stepped closer. "I have an offer, but understand this isn't charity, it's trust. I want you to work here as my son's caregiver. You'll have a place to stay, food, a steady salary, and everything you need to rebuild your life. But more than anything, I want you to be there for him, the presence he hasn't had in so long." Sarah blinked a few times, trying to process it. Her heart pounded. She didn't know what to say. She never imagined that doing the right thing, returning a lost wallet, could lead to something so life-changing. "Do you really trust me?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "I don't trust easily," Henry replied, "but my son just showed me that I can trust you." She looked at Ethan again. The boy was now drawing a car on a scrap of paper, fully focused. Sarah took a deep breath. This was a chance, a fresh start, a home. "I accept," she said firmly. Henry held out his hand, and Sarah shook it. "Welcome." As the days passed, Sarah began to settle into her new role, but the emotional depth of her experience continued to grow. At first, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the opportunity Henry had given her. Every morning, when she woke up in the cozy room with its soft sheets and gentle light filtering through the curtains, she felt a flicker of hope. Yet alongside that hope came the weight of her past. The memories of hunger, loneliness, and despair still lingered in her mind. One afternoon, while playing with Ethan in the garden, Sarah noticed the boy's laughter was becoming more frequent. Each giggle felt like a small victory, a testament to the connection they were building. Ethan was opening up, sharing stories about his favorite toys and games in a way he hadn't done before. As Sarah listened, she realized how much she had missed forming bonds with others. It was a reminder that she, too, was deserving of connection and joy. However, moments of doubt crept in, especially when she thought about her past. What if Henry discovered she was still struggling with her own insecurities? What if he changed his mind about her? To combat her fears, she began to write in a small notebook she had kept since her grandmother's passing. It was a safe space where she could pour out her emotions, documenting her journey, from the darkness of her past to the light of her present. Writing helped her process her feelings and solidified her desire to create a better future. Henry, on the other hand, was also experiencing a transformation. He had always been a man of few words, focused solely on work and the responsibilities of parenthood. But with Sarah's arrival, he found himself smiling more often, feeling lighter. He watched her interact with Ethan, and it reminded him of the joy that had faded from his life after his wife's death. Little by little, he began to share more of himself with Sarah, revealing snippets of his life before loss and his hopes for the future. One evening, after putting Ethan to bed, Henry found Sarah sitting on the porch, her notebook in her lap, staring off into the distance. He approached quietly, not wanting to startle her. "What are you writing?" he asked softly. She looked up, a hint of surprise in her eyes, as if she hadn't expected anyone to notice. "Just some thoughts," she replied, her cheeks flushing slightly. "It helps me sort through everything." Henry nodded, genuinely curious. "Can I read it?" Sarah hesitated, biting her lip. "It's personal. I don't know if I'm ready to share." "You don't have to, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. No matter what," he said, his voice steady. There was sincerity in his words that made her heart swell. That night, as Sarah lay in bed, she thought about Henry's offer of support. It was a stark contrast to her past experiences where people often turned away from her struggles. One afternoon, as they were playing with building blocks in the living room, Ethan looked up at her with wide eyes. "Sarah, do you think we could build a real rocket one day?" he asked, his imagination running wild. "Of course," Sarah replied, her eyes sparkling. "We can use boxes and paint them to look like a rocket. We'll even put stars on the outside." Ethan jumped up, his excitement palpable. "And I can be the captain? What will you be?" "I'll be the mission control," she said playfully, mimicking a serious voice. "I'll guide you through space." They spent the afternoon crafting their rocket, decorating it with colorful paper and stickers. As they worked together, Sarah felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. This simple project represented more than just play. It symbolized the bond they were building, a bond that was strong and genuine. Meanwhile, Henry observed their interactions with a sense of admiration. He was amazed at the transformation taking place in both Ethan and Sarah. He had never seen Ethan so animated, so alive. It made him realize how much he had missed out on during the years he had been consumed by grief. With Sarah in their lives, the light was returning to their home. One evening, after a long day at work, Henry returned home to find Sarah and Ethan sprawled out on the living room floor, surrounded by crayons and papers. Ethan was proudly presenting his latest drawing, a colorful depiction of their rocket, complete with stars and planets. "Look, Dad, we're going to space," Ethan exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Henry crouched down beside them, his heart swelling with pride. "That's amazing, buddy. You're going to be the best astronaut ever." Sarah looked at Henry, her heart fluttering at the sight of the two of them together. There was something beautiful about witnessing the bond forming between Henry and Ethan, a bond that was healing for them both. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah found herself increasingly drawn to Henry. She admired his dedication to his son and the kindness he showed toward her. During quiet moments in the evenings, when they would share a cup of tea or sit together on the porch, she felt a connection deepening between them. Henry was more than just a boss. He was a man of integrity, and his support gave her the courage to confront her fears. However, doubt still lingered in the back of her mind. She often questioned whether she truly belonged in their world. What if they found out about her past? What if they saw her as just a charity case? These thoughts haunted her, even as she worked to silence them. One night, after putting Ethan to bed, Sarah found herself in the kitchen, lost in thought. Henry entered, sensing her unease. "Is everything all right?" he asked, concern etching his features. Sarah took a deep breath, deciding to be honest. Sometimes I feel like I don't belong here, like I'm just a temporary solution to a problem." Henry shook his head gently. "You're not a temporary fix, Sarah. You've brought joy and life back into this house. Ethan adores you, and so do I." His words struck a chord within her. "But what if I mess up? What if I can't keep this up?" "You won't mess up," he assured her, stepping closer. "We all have our struggles. You don't have to be perfect. Just be you." In that moment, Sarah felt a weight lift off her shoulders. Henry's reassurance ignited a flicker of hope in her heart. Perhaps she could allow herself to be vulnerable, to accept the love and support being offered to her. As the weeks continued to unfold, Sarah and Henry found themselves sharing more of their lives with each other. They began to talk about their dreams, their fears, and the possibility of a future that included one another. Each conversation deepened their connection, and Sarah couldn't help but feel that they were building something beautiful together. One sunny Saturday morning, Henry suggested a family outing to the park. As they packed a picnic basket with sandwiches and fruit, Sarah felt a thrill of excitement. It was a chance to create new memories together, a chance to be a family. At the park, laughter echoed around them as they spread out their blanket under a large oak tree. Ethan ran off to explore, and Sarah and Henry sat together, their shoulders brushing against each other. They watched as Ethan climbed on the playground equipment, his joy infectious. "Look at him," Henry said, a smile spreading across his face. "He's so happy." Sarah nodded, her heart swelling with warmth. It's amazing to see him like this. He's really coming alive. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, Henry turned to Sarah. Thank you for everything you've done for him, and for me. She met his gaze, feeling a spark of connection. I'm just doing what feels right. I care about both of you. In that moment, Sarah realized that she was no longer just a caregiver. She was becoming part of something bigger. The fear that had once consumed her began to fade, replaced by a sense of belonging. She knew that with each passing day, she was not only healing herself, but also helping Henry and Ethan find their way back to happiness. As they packed up their picnic, Sarah felt a sense of hope blooming within her. The future was still uncertain, but with Henry and Ethan by her side, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. Together, they were building a life filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. As the seasons changed, the bond between Sarah, Henry, and Ethan deepened. The laughter that once felt distant now filled their home every day. Their routines became more intertwined, with Sarah taking on more responsibilities and also more joy. She found herself planning fun activities, from baking cookies to hosting movie nights, each moment solidifying her place in their little family. One evening, as they settled in for a movie night, Sarah noticed how comfortable Ethan had become with her. He leaned against her, a bowl of popcorn balanced on his lap, his eyes glued to the screen. As the movie played, Sarah felt a swell of happiness. This was the kind of home she had longed for, filled with warmth and love. During the film, there was a particularly touching scene, and Sarah felt her eyes well up with tears. She glanced at Henry, who was sitting beside her, and saw that he was also moved. Their eyes met, and for a moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them, a recognition of the healing power of connection and vulnerability. After the movie, as they cleaned up, Henry approached her with a playful grin. I think you've officially become the best movie buddy, Sarah. She laughed, feeling a rush of warmth at his compliment. I'll take that title, but only if you promise to make the popcorn next time. Deal, he replied, his smile infectious. As they shared this light-hearted moment, Sarah felt a shift within herself. The insecurities that had plagued her began to fade. She was no longer just the woman who had returned a lost wallet. She was a beloved member of this household. However, as her relationship with Henry grew, so did the complexity of her feelings. She admired him not only as a father, but as a man who had endured profound loss and was still willing to open his heart. Yet, with each passing day, she wrestled with her fears. Could she truly be worthy of his love? What if her past caught up with her? One afternoon, while taking a walk in the nearby park, Sarah decided to confront her feelings. The sun filtered through the trees, casting dappled light on the path ahead. She turned to Henry, who was walking beside her, and took a deep breath. Henry, can we talk about something? She asked, her heart racing. Of course, he replied, his expression open and inviting. I've been thinking a lot about us, about how much I care for you and Ethan, she began, her voice steady but laced with vulnerability. But I also worry. Sometimes I feel like I'm not enough. I don't want to let you down or disrupt what you and Ethan have. Henry stopped walking and turned to face her, a serious look in his eyes. You are more than enough, Sarah. You've brought light back into our lives. I can see the change in Ethan, and I can feel it in myself. You're not a disruption. You're a blessing. His words struck her deeply, and for a moment, she felt as if a weight had been lifted. It's just that my past is complicated. I don't want it to affect our future. Everyone has a past, he replied gently. What matters is how we choose to move forward. I want you to be part of our future, Sarah. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for honesty and trust. Moved by his sincerity, Sarah nodded, her heart swelling with emotion. I want that too, more than anything. As they continued their walk, a sense of relief washed over her. Henry's acceptance reassured her that she was not alone in this journey. They were both healing, learning to navigate the complexities of their lives together. In the following weeks, their relationship blossomed. They began to share more intimate moments, whether it was cooking dinner together, sharing their dreams, or simply enjoying quiet evenings under the stars. Each shared experience brought them closer, and Sarah found herself falling for Henry in ways she hadn't anticipated. One evening, as they sat on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Henry turned to Sarah. "I've been thinking about how much we've been through together. I can't help but feel lucky to have you in my life." Sarah smiled, her heart fluttering. "I feel the same way. You and Ethan have changed my life." "Maybe we should celebrate this," he suggested, a mischievous glint in his eye. "How about a family outing this weekend? Just us three, doing something fun." Her heart leaped at the idea. "That sounds perfect. I'd love to." As the weekend approached, Sarah found herself buzzing with excitement. They planned a day filled with activities, going to the amusement park, enjoying rides, and indulging in cotton candy. It was a chance to create lasting memories, and she wanted to make it special for both Henry and Ethan. On the day of their outing, they arrived at the amusement park, and Ethan's face lit up with pure joy as he spotted the colorful rides and bustling crowds. They raced from one attraction to another, laughter echoing around them. Sarah felt alive in a way she hadn't felt in years, her worries fading with every smile and every shared adventure. As they stood in line for the Ferris wheel, Henry leaned closer to Sarah. "I'm really glad we're doing this together," he said, his voice low. "Me too," she replied, her heart racing. "It feels like we're really becoming a family." When they reached the top of the Ferris wheel, the view took her breath away. The park spread out below them, vibrant and full of life. In that moment, Sarah realized that she was exactly where she was meant to be. The fear that had once loomed over her began to dissipate, replaced by a growing sense of belonging and hope. As they descended from the ride, Ethan tugged at Sarah's hand, pulling her toward the next adventure. "Let's go on that one next," he exclaimed, pointing to a spinning carousel adorned with colorful horses. Sarah laughed, feeling a warmth spread through her. This was her life now, filled with laughter, love, and the promise of a future she had once thought was impossible. With Henry and Ethan by her side, she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they were creating a beautiful story, one of healing, connection, and the power of love. As the weeks turned into months, the bond between Sarah, Henry, and Ethan evolved into something profound. They had become more than just a makeshift family. They were learning the true meaning of togetherness. Each day brought new moments of joy and connection, solidifying their place in one another's lives. One sunny afternoon while they were in the garden, Sarah noticed Ethan was particularly quiet as he sat on the swing, staring off into the distance. Concerned, she approached him. "Hey, buddy, what's on your mind?" she asked softly. Ethan looked up, his brow furrowed. "I was just thinking about Mom," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Her heart ached for him. "It's okay to think about her, Ethan. She loved you very much." He nodded, a small tear rolling down his cheek. "I miss her, but I like having you here too." Sarah knelt beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You can love both of them, you know. Your mom will always be in your heart, and I'm here to support you." Ethan wiped his eyes and gave her a small smile. "I know. I just wish I could hug her again." In that moment, Sarah understood how crucial it was for Ethan to process his feelings. She decided to share her own experience with loss, to show him that he wasn't alone. "I lost my grandmother not long ago," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "It was hard for me too, but I learned that it's okay to remember the good times we had together. It helps keep their memory alive." Ethan listened intently, his expression softening. "Do you think she would like me?" "Absolutely," Sarah replied, her eyes shining with sincerity. "She would have loved you, just like I do." They shared a quiet moment, the bond between them growing even stronger. As they sat there, Henry approached, having overheard their conversation. He knelt down beside them, wrapping an arm around both of their shoulders. "You're both so brave," he said gently. "It's important to talk about our feelings." Sarah looked at Henry, her heart swelling with appreciation for the way he supported Ethan and her. "Thank you for being here for us," she said softly. "Always," he replied, his gaze sincere. We're a team and we'll navigate this together. As the days passed, the family continued to grow closer. They celebrated little victories, Ethan's achievements at school, Sarah's progress in her studies, and the quiet moments shared over dinner. Each evening, they would gather around the table, sharing stories and laughter, creating a rhythm of life that felt increasingly like home. One evening, as they finished dinner, Henry looked at Sarah with a contemplative expression. "I've been thinking about how much you've brought into our lives," he began, his tone serious, yet warm. "I want to make sure you know how valued you are." Sarah felt her heart race at his words. "Thank you, Henry. I'm just trying to do my best." "But it's more than that," he continued, his gaze unwavering. "You've become a part of our family, and I want you to know that you're not just here out of necessity. You're here because we want you. I want you." His confession hung in the air, charged with emotion. Sarah felt a rush of warmth at his sincerity. "I want that too," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. In the days that followed, their relationship deepened. They spent more time together, not just as a caregiver and employer, but as partners navigating life's complexities. They shared their dreams and fears, building a foundation of trust that felt unshakable. One afternoon, Henry surprised Sarah with a trip to the art museum. As they wandered through the exhibits, he watched her eyes light up with appreciation for the artwork. "You have such a beautiful perspective," he said, genuinely admiring her insights. "I love how art can tell a story just like life," Sarah replied, her enthusiasm palpable. "Each piece has its own journey, just like us." Their shared moments became more frequent and tender, and with each passing day, Sarah felt her walls begin to crumble. She allowed herself to envision a future where she was not just a caretaker or a friend, but a partner in every sense of the word. As the season shifted again, the leaves began to change color, painting the world in hues of gold and crimson. One crisp afternoon, Henry invited Sarah to join him for a walk in the park. The air was fresh, and the sound of rustling leaves surrounded them as they strolled side by side. "Sarah," Henry began, stopping to face her, "I've been thinking a lot about us. You've changed not just my life, but Ethan's as well, and I can't imagine my days without you." Her heart raced as he spoke. "I feel the same way, Henry. You and Ethan mean the world to me." He took a step closer, his expression earnest. "I want you to be part of our future, not just as Ethan's caregiver, but as my partner in every sense. I know things have been complicated, but you've shown me what it means to hope again." Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she absorbed his words. "I've never felt this way before," she confessed, her voice trembling. "But I'm scared. What if I can't live up to what you both need?" "You already are," he reassured her, his voice steady and comforting. "We're a family, and families support each other. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for you." In that moment, Sarah felt a shift within her, a deep realization that she could embrace this love without fear. "I want that too, Henry. I want to build a life with you and Ethan." With a shared understanding, they embraced, the warmth of their connection enveloping them. As they stood together in that beautiful park, surrounded by the vibrant colors of autumn, Sarah felt a sense of peace she had longed for. She was ready to step into this new chapter of her life, hand in hand with Henry and Ethan. As they walked home, Sarah's heart was full. She knew that the journey ahead would not always be easy, but with love and support, they could face anything together. This was just the beginning of a beautiful story, one that was unfolding in a way she had never dared to dream.